trend over time.
So you busy?
It's very, not a good idea to
Working a lot
go
of hours.
over existing
And when I
roads.
think
Organization.
horrible
Yeah.
idea,
Because it doesn't get, you lose,
A lot of hours.
lose at least 5 years, they say.
It gives you a chance to check out the sheet.
14 a day, 15 hours
Which
a
is
day.
another
7 days a
benefit
week.
for that, in that-
It doesn't hit the break.
I got it, try to make
Cost
ends
is
meet.
not as high as it seems from those numbers.
But
It also
That makes
adds
a
to the
lot of
weight
sense.
of the roof.
That's
every so
like-
often I'll take a break, take a night
that
off
piece
and watch
of it
TV, or I'll watch the
isn't like
Patriots.
my
Monday night, I took
background,
the night
but
off.
you just made such a
Hey,
great
how you doing?
point. It-
I'm
when you
sorry,
sit up
yeah.
and take notes,
Really? That's the letter.
Make sure
Yeah,
those numbers are-
that's my crack at it,
Well,
so.
that we're really looking at.
Get coffees for everybody, bud?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll pass it.
I just barely made it.
The other thing too, I was thinking is that this can't come from Board of Selectmen and the school, board. It'll take forever to get that approved. It has to come from,
I would agree,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
yeah.
Like, that'll be almost getting the fiscal cliff negotiated if you did it the other way.
I think we need their permission, though.
No, you don't.
No?
No, I think you want to make sure, I think you want to run it by them and make sure that the numbers are accurate, but I don't think.
On the fence.
Who's missing?
Um,
Elizabeth.
Peter's not here.
Oh, I know, and
Oh,
Peter, John Burt, and Ruth are not gonna be here.
And what's his name? Brian?
No, everybody else
Oh,
is
Brian's
here.
here.
Yep.
Brian, are you any better?
What?
Are you gonna get closer? By sitting in your proximity?
I'm not a doctor. I'm still going to work. so-
Are we ready?
That's it.
Infecting everyone.
All right, 7 o'clock, let's get things rolling. Good evening. Welcome to the December 4th Goffstown Budget Committee meeting. I'm Vice Chairman Guy Karen. I'm here in replacement of Chairman Georgianis, who was unable to attend. Let's start with a roll call. Chief?
Richard Fletcher.
Ivan Bellabo.
Lisa Jukes.
Diane McCarthy?
Bill Spurl?
Brian Foley. Lee Sperry.
Brian Lewis.
Elizabeth Rule.
Scott Gross.
Okay, and John Burt has been excused, and so has Ruth Gage, who's unable to attend. Hello, Sue. I'm going to save this until after we get to
That's
the
fine.
meeting minutes. The first thing I'd like to do, let's get through, we've got 6 sets of meeting minutes that have been sitting for approval. I figure we can plow through those pretty quick. We've all had plenty of time to look them over. First one's being the minutes of October 16th. Anybody have any changes? Okay, motion to approve
Motion to approve.
by Liz, second.
Second.
Okay, that's the chief. All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Next ones are November, I'm sorry, I abstained because I wasn't there. Next one, November 8th, 2012. Does anybody have any changes? Seeing none, motion to approve? Liz, second?
I'm abstaining.
Well, I need a second on the motion to approve. Okay. That's Joe. All in favor, signify by raising your hands. Anybody opposed? And Brian, you're abstaining? Okay. November 13th. Any changes?
13.
Pardon me?
Am I on that?
On November 13th, I'll take a look for you. You are listed.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, you were excused on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. No changes at all? Motion to approve? Liz, seconded by Diane. All in favor, signify by raising your hands. Abstain? Ivan and Dick. Okay. Next ones are November 15.
I actually have a change.
On November 15?
On page 2,
Yeah, well, hold on, I'm gonna make the change right in the minutes themselves, my copy of it here, so. Page 2. Okay, whereabouts, Liz?
you see where the bolded sentence, more definitive numbers will be provided to the committee?
On the second page?
On the second page, in the fire departments, right above EMS.
Okay, hold on. I think in this document it's the third page. This is the 15th, right?
Yes, 13th.
Oh, the 13th. I think, didn't we just approve those?
No, I thought we did the 8th.
No, we just approved the minutes of the 13th. Well, let's go back and make the
Oh, I
changes.
did the wrong, I'm sorry, I have them in the wrong order.
That's okay, let's go back
Sorry.
and make the change to the 13th.
It's not a big deal, but I don't even know what to tell you to change it to, but it says, E. DeBrule asked for the calls for service today, 150 last year during this time.
Hold on.
Never mind. You know what, never mind.
Well, what's the change that you wanted to make?
It's just, that sentence didn't make sense to me, and I wasn't sure what I meant, but then when I read it out loud,
I've got it here.
kind of makes sense, so.
Calls
we'll
for
just
service
leave it.
today, 150 last year during this time. How do you want to reword that?
We can just leave it. It's all right.
Okay, then those
Sorry.
minutes have already been approved, as is. Back to the 15th. Any changes to the minutes of the 15th? Okay, seeing none? Motion? Liz? Second? Lisa? All in favor? Opposed? Abstained? You guys are abstained, right? Okay. November 20. Any changes to these? Everybody had a chance to look at them, I presume. Seeing none, motion to approve. Liz. Second. Brian. All in favor signify by raising your hands. Opposed? Abstained? Ivan and me. I was not there. It was Liz and Brian. And now we've got those of the 27th. I have a change to those.
I do too.
Okay, hold on, let me open them up. I'm not listed as having attended or even been excused, but I was there. Okay, Scott?
It actually was the first thing, it said escrows reported the Grassmere Water Precinct budget is complete and they will bring it before the Budget Committee shortly. I had spoken to Bruce Rand and I said that they hope to bring it before, because he had to speak with the commissioners, he's
Okay.
the treasurer, so.
Hope to bring it. Got it. Any other changes?
I have a little one.
Okay, Liz.
Same page, school
Mhm.
budget deliberations, the
Yep.
paragraph says E. DeBrule.
Yep,
Next sentence, see question if the students are take out the word new.
okay. Anything else? Anybody else? Okay, motion to approve? Liz, second? Chief? Liz, Chief. All in favor, signify by raising your hands. Opposed? Abstain? Ivan. Okay, that takes care of the backlog. I didn't get the minutes from Thursday's meeting yet.
Chair, I have to just excuse myself, I have to swear somebody in next door, just
Okay.
until it takes me a minute.
All right. Well, while he's gone then, before we go to, is there anybody from the public who would like to make a comment? Okay, public comment's gone. Before we get into the deliberation, Scott provided me with, if you can pass these around, a copy of the draft letter that we're going to be putting out to the papers and other that we discussed last week. While Scott's next door, let's take a minute and just read this over, and then we can discuss it when he gets in. Looking over your letter, Scott.
Okay. I'll send it out electronically to guide to you, and then people can
Okay.
feel free to edit it as you want, just as a start. There was one part where I needed a number, I think in there, I might have needed a number. I think I took that out. No, I took that out, I forget.
You want to give a quick overview of this? You want to,
Yeah, I mean, basically, what we talked about, well, funny, Ruth's not here, but, just talking about the challenges that we had in the sense that on both the school and the town side, we've had such a pretty significant decrease in revenues from the state that it has made the decisions here a lot harder over the last couple of years and this year. And, you know, trying to keep this thing under 500 words is always a challenge for the newspapers. They don't even have more than 250 actually, but just really wanted to stress from the Budget Committee's perspective that the Budget Committee and the governing bodies are under a lot of pressure to come together with these budgets simply because there's been so much shifting of revenues. And now we have more expenses at the local level, and that's kind of what I wanted to convey. I don't think this is the first and the end. I put in here that, you know, we'll hope to provide more information, because I think that there's more information that we should, as a Budget Committee, let the community know about.
anybody got any questions or comments on it? Do we want to look this over, make any suggestions, and come back with this on Thursday?
I anticipated that.
Yeah.
You know, so
Let's
I'll.
sit on it for at
Yeah.
least till the next meeting.
Do we have a target date that we were thinking about starting to write these, submit these to the newspapers
Well,
and post?
the newspaper generally wants them by noon on Monday, so if we wanted to have it in by next Thursday's newspaper, we would want to vote to do something by Thursday's meeting, if that's how
Okay.
you wanted, if the board wanted to proceed in that direction.
Well, maybe the sooner the better, you know? So if you guys want to look this over, and when we come back Thursday, anybody's got some recommendations or changes that you want to make to it, let's discuss it then. I'm sure Peter won't mind, you know, before we get into, I think we're doing Glen Lake Thursday, right?
I think so. I don't know
We're
what we're doing.
expecting, based on the last conversation I knew, we're expecting to do Glen Lake and the district.
Okay.
But I will say, if you're looking for Stacy to be here, I don't know that she will be able to. She's been out sick, and I don't know that she'll be back by Thursday.
But she's unable to be here a week from tonight, though, right? Don't you have an
Area?
area meet?
There's an area meeting and there's an SAU board meeting
Yeah.
next week.
Okay.
So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up at some point tonight. I'm not saying she's not gonna be here, but I don't see how she will.
Okay. Well, maybe before we get into the school stuff Thursday, we can go over this real quick, so.
Actually, if I could add
Yep.
one thing, I got an email from Joe, and Joe sent me a note saying that when he looked at the budgets, he made some comments about relative to inflation, and I looked at that, and that's great. There's no way I
Yeah.
could have
Oh,
possibly
sure, I understand.
gotten this in here, and that's kind of why I put that, I actually had this longer, and then I deleted it, because I think this,
Okay.
if we do want to do this, then maybe we take turns and we write more than one.
Sure.
I ran into, there's a lady that called me up, and she lives on Elm Street, and she was like kind of thirsty for more information other than what she gets in the Goffstown News. So personally, I think this type of outreach, and hopefully it can be done in a way that's just strictly factual, would be helpful to people.
Maybe also we could contact Kathy Runwald and ask her to write an article.
Yeah, and this may trigger that, you know, to some extent, but I think the article is good, but then the article is always through the lens of the reporter, whereas the letter to the editor is really what you want to write.
What's your word count on this, Scott?
4 and change,
4 and change?
yeah. I think it was like 450-ish.
Really?
They don't have any trouble with
They
it.
they usually,
I mean, they're pretty cool.
they're usually
fine.
pretty good,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
They
mean, I
say
think
they
their
want it
point is
250
that-
or under,
Well, I
but-
think their point is that people are more likely to read shorter letters than longer letters.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not, but.
Yeah, well, a letter from the Goffstown Budget Committee, I
Should
think is
get
going
it.
to get some attention.
And is
If
this
you
going to
can-
be just from the budget committee, or, and we had originally talked about it being from all three
Yeah, I mean,
boards,
that
or
was
is it
something
just
that-
going to be from ours?
Guy and I were just talking about this before we started the meeting, is that it would be very difficult to try to get, 25 people to sign off on it. I did talk to my board about the fact that the budget committee, that I was actually drafting a letter for the budget committee. There didn't seem to be any.
So there's no problem on their side?
No
Okay.
issues with it. Certainly I'll provide a copy. You have extras, I can give one to Sue to take a look at. I don't think there's anything that's not factual in it, but that's the thing, one thing I want to make sure is that everything was, I took The school started exactly off of what Stacy provided to us in terms of that cheat sheet. I did talk to Sue about the loss of, rooms and meals, highway, block grants, shared revenues, and then the retirement, how it went from 35 to 25 to now 0, and then I added up the impact to the school and the town. And that number, I talked to Sue last night, so that number, it might be higher than 575 combined.
Okay.
So that's the only number that might have to get tweaked.
Okay.
Might be over 600,000.
If you can get that to me electronically, I'll get it to
Yeah,
everybody
I'll do it
else
right
tonight,
now.
and then you make any changes you want, and if there's any discussion to be had Thursday, we'll do it then. Okay? All right. Joanne is going to be next door for a while with her planning board meeting, so she's going to be late getting here. I'd like to get right into deliberations on town budget and pick up where we left off, and I guarantee you, there's going to be no 11:30 meeting tonight. Okay, I got a hard stop in mind for the time, and I think if we roll through this with some motion making, get everybody's, we've all had plenty of time to look it over, it should be a reasonably, easy task. If I recall, we've gone through the admin budget already, and then we had some questions on the police budget. One of them, I didn't, and Chief, maybe you can clarify this for me, but I think it was Elizabeth who wanted to break down by line of all the costs associated with the patrolman position. And I think we tabled that. I know we made adjustments to the motorcycle line, but I didn't see that response. I saw something on overtime costs, and I saw another breakdown on, I'll tell you what it was. No, that wasn't
The
it.
motorcycle?
Pardon me?
The motorcycle? I think we got an email about the motorcycle.
Oh, no, it was on overtime expenditures, and the other one was on the special equipment line, uniform line. Was it you who had asked about that breakdown on the
I don't
patrolman?
remember the police officer one, but I know I asked, Brian and I had been talking about a breakdown on the motorcycle line because Brian thought we had taken too much out, that we had taken more than the motorcycle out of that line. And the chief, I believe, confirmed that. So that line we would need to talk about that line.
All right. That is line 10-42101-55210. That's police operations property, nope, I'm sorry. 54535, special equipment. The selectman's request was 8,000. I believe we reduced that to 0. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Any discussion on it? Was passed 6-5. How much more would we need to put back
I don't
in that
remember
line?
could we ask the chief to come? I don't remember
Sure.
what his email said exactly.
Certainly, the motorcycle lease for a year is $33.60 per year. And then the total of the boots, which would include uniform breeches, boots, and helmets, would be $1,900. Do my math real quick.
4,200? No, 5,200.
Yeah, 5260.
So what else is in that line then?
Stuff for the dogs, that type of equipment, repairs to the shield that we have, or the firearms, for rifles that we have, things of that sort. So it's the specialized equipment that we use and maintain.
Okay. Okay, well, then I make a motion that we increase that line by,
2740.
thank you, 2740.
So we put back in the amount for the, okay.
Second that.
All right. Hold on. Okay. Liz.
You
Brian,
want somebody to
second.
do that for you? So you can
Yeah,
facilitate?
I stole one of Dan's sheets from him. Okay, I know which line it is. Motion is to increase by 2740. Brian, you seconded, right? You want to discuss it, Liz?
No, I think everybody knows.
I'll speak to you second.
No, I just feel that we definitely way overcut it last time.
Okay.
We all were in agreement that we weren't sure exactly how much of that line we were cutting.
Okay. Any other discussion on it?
I guess I just have a question, and my question would be, unless I'm reading this wrong, which is entirely possible, at the end of year 11, and it looks like even to date, there's nothing expended from it. Am I reading that incorrectly?
No, you're reading it correctly.
No, you're reading it correctly, and that's the other thing we went over.
So how do we feel about that now?
Chief's right there.
Yeah,
I can speak to that, we've gone over it, I've got to do a journal correction. We've taken out the bike suit that we purchased last year out of that line. It was also part purchase of a dog, because the other one had passed away. So that money has been taken out, but we moved it out of, I believe, the crime prevention.
Okay. Any other discussion? You ready for the vote? The motion is to return $2,740 to that line. All in favor, please signify by raising your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's unanimous. Okay. Yep, Brian?
Isn't it, once we're done that one, I think we, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we had taken something out of uniforms and one of the specialty, because we thought it was for the bike or something.
Yeah,
And
we
correct me
did.
if I'm wrong, Chief, but you said that, was that those, that line that we took out of, was that for the police bike stuff or not?
1900, for the uniform, breeches, and helmets. Breeches, boots, and helmets was out of the uniform line, not the motorcycle.
Well, then we just
But I
moved
know
up.
we cut that whole, we took $2,500, I think, out of that line, that's all I'm trying to.
Actually, there was no dollar number because we didn't have one. The motion was to reduce the cost of uniforms for motorcycle officers, but we didn't know what the amount was.
Oh, I thought Pete had made a motion to cut that, but I definitely understood.
It's, let me look at the minutes. It's possible. There was no dollar amount to it.
Okay.
Okay, so, in effect, we've taken the $1,900 out of the wrong line,
But does it matter?
but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's, do you want us to make the change, Chief, or not?
I can live with that.
Okay. All right. Anything, I think that was the only two things we had open.
There was one other one.
Go ahead.
Under maintenance charges for the building, that's what I had asked for the breakdown of, because the doors and the locks from this year, I believe, were still in that maintenance line.
That was 55,310. Yep.
Yes,
And we had talked about reducing that.
yes.
Did you, I think we got the answer we needed.
Yeah,
Can you reiterate again?
yeah, we had taken, I did not take that out, I believe it was 3,000.
It was,
3,000 for the Sally heater.
Yeah, I think you said in your letter.
well, the
you-
heater's 3,000, but what were the doors and locks from last year?
I believe that was 28 or 2,000.
Yeah, I
It was
think
about the
you're,
same.
in your response, you said you could live without the 3,000 because you took it out of this year's budget, right?
That was, yes, I took the Sally Port heater out of this year's budget, but I did not reduce it by the light switches, the doors, and the locks.
Okay.
So another 3,000 could come out of that line.
Okay.
Okay. Any more discussion on it? Any motions on it?
So I'm going to move that we reduce that line by 3,000.
Right?
Seems to make sense to me.
Yeah.
Mhm. We have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, just give me a sec here. Okay. That line is 55,310, Police Operations Maintenance Charge Building. The motion on the floor is to reduce that line by $3,000. Any discussion? You want to speak to your motion?
No.
Brian, your second?
No.
Anybody else? All in favor, signify by raising your hand. Looks to be unanimous. Okay. All right, anything else on the police budget? Yeah, Liz?
Yeah, I think we got to talk about the officer and the janitor.
Okay.
In light of our discussion on the school side, when some people evinced an opinion that we should not hire anybody unless it is a position that we are required by federal law to do so, or state law to do so, I think we have to hold that same standard on the town side. I'm going to
Anybody
throw
else?
that out there for discussion, and
Well, I would tend to agree, personally. We've been a number of years, we've been holding that slot open. Our police department's doing a great job. I know they'd love to have them. But now you look, it's a question of affordability. I mean, you know, we know median household income has dropped 4,000. We're staring the possibility of a fiscal cliff at the end of the year. Do we want the added tax burden? Anybody else? I guess I'll entertain a motion then, if any.
I move that we reduce both the police officer and the part-time janitor.
Do you have a dollar amount, or do you want?
I do not have dollar amounts.
Well, we could word it in such a way as to include whatever the wages would be, because this is a half-year position, if I remember right.
Yes.
Have you,
Along with all corresponding, you know, benefits,
Yes.
FICA, and other related costs.
No,
It's in the packet, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I'm looking for my packet, because it is in the
I
packet.
think
did we cut the janitors on the school side?
We did.
yes, we
We
did.
did.
Yep.
We cut
The increase.
proposed increased a few hours, I think it was
Right.
2 or 3 hours.
In this case, it's 4 hours.
I believe, and maybe Diane can correct me, but we did reduce every position on the school side that was not required.
Yeah.
That is my
requested.
Is that
understanding of what
correct?
took place, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want to rephrase your motion?
Yeah, but I don't have the dollar amount.
It's 69, I think it,
Well,
I probably can't change
You
it.
want two separate motions?
no, oh, you mean,
Janitor and police officer?
60
no, it doesn't be all one motion, but you need to add to it that you want all corresponding expenses with that as well, if that's your
Those two
motion.
positions and all corresponding expenses.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion? Aye. Would you care to speak to it?
I think I already did.
Okay. Ivan?
I concur with all that Elizabeth has said.
Okay. Anybody else? Scott?
I do my job.
Absolutely.
I think the chief did present everybody his budget, and he also had a presentation. He talked about the pressures facing the department in the case that, yes, we have been doing without this officer for about 4 years now. However, it's put a tremendous pressure on his overtime line. And, you know, there are more calls for service each and every subsequent year. So as I respect the motion, that is it is a consequence that the officer, you know, is needed. And the chief also talked about, different standards that they have in the industry with respect to staffing. And it should be more like 34, 35 police officers, not even 30. I just wanted to highlight that as well.
Anybody else? Brian?
I kind of concur with Scott in the fact that that's where I'm struggling with, is that overtime line in that respect, of the fact that we had talked about this before, and the fact that, yeah, we don't want to have another position, but yet that overtime line keeps going up because you're covering shifts, covering, vacation time, so on and so forth, and then public events and stuff like that. So I don't know, that's kind of where I'm.
So you're suggesting that
I'm just having a hard time
an
with that.
additional officer would necessarily reduce the overall budget impact because it would reduce our overtime costs? Chief, does that make sense to you? Would that, in fact,
For the 6 months that this officer is here, no, it would not, for this 6 months. Because he has to go to the academy, he has to go through field training, and there's a window of 1 year before they can take overtime or extra job. So in the immediate future, 6 months, no, it would not. In the future, it absolutely would.
so you believe that next year, a full-time officer is going to, the cost of that full-time patrolman is going to offset the overtime line by more than,
Not to-
okay, so it'd still be an increase.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody else? Well, there's a motion on the floor to zero that line out completely along with all related costs, FICA, Social Security benefits, et cetera. You guys ready to take a vote on it?
Can I
Okay?
just make a comment?
Yep.
You're not, I don't think you're zeroing out that line. Wouldn't it come from regular wages? It's not a line, right?
Yeah, well, it's,
You're talking about.
oh,
We're leaving everybody else's
Yeah,
wages.
right, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you don't want to zero
sorry.
out the salary line. I just want to be clear. It's that one position for 69,177,
Yes.
I believe,
yes, I'm sorry.
plus the corresponding. I just want to be.
Thank you. No, you're right. Okay, so the amount is $69,177 plus related costs. All in favor, signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait a minute. 10. And you're
I have to be a no.
you're a no,
Yeah,
okay. All right. Anything else on the police department? No. Are we done with police? I mean, we can come back to it. And actually, before we move out of police, we did admin. Did anybody have anything they wanted to go over on admin? I think we were pretty much done with it last time, but.
I had a question on admin, the PEG TV position. Can you just explain what that, will that position somehow generate revenue or help? I don't know.
No, if you want, do you want me to give an overview of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Right now, cable access television, we get 5%, a 5% franchise fee. If you are a Comcast subscriber, so if you have DirecTV, you're not paying it, but if you have Comcast, you pay a franchise fee. All of those fees go into a big pot of money, all right? And essentially what happens is, right now, what we've done is we've taken that pot of money, which is roughly around $250,000 to $260,000 right now. And about $60,000-ish, you can check the budget, goes towards the administration, the operation of the cable television station. And then all the other monies goes towards tax relief, okay, goes to the general fund, pays for other things. Over the years, we have heard from people that said, well, wait a second, if I am a Comcast subscriber, why isn't all of it going towards the cable station? There are some communities who do it. Well, obviously, if we did that, we would see, $190,000 of monies that would have helped pay for other things in the budget go strictly towards cable television. So the Board of Selectmen got together and said, okay, as we're renegotiating our contract with Comcast, we said, okay, what happens if we put 2% of that money, of the 5%, towards a revolving fund for the cable station, which would be about $110,000. And then the remaining funds would then go to the town of Goffstown, into the general fund for regular, all these other expenses. Figured that would be kind of a happy medium. There was the Cable Access Committee, even, and Dick Gagnon, who was the former director, stated that if you really want to have a successful station, you really need to have a director who's managing it. So we felt that that would be the best route to go, would be to have a full-time director and to take 2% of those revenues, which are not taxes. Those are fees that are generated from people who have Comcast. So not every resident, pays into that. And that was another argument, is that only people who have Comcast can see, can watch the cable station. You can see it on PEG on demand, obviously, but it was a situation where those people that are paying into it should reap those rewards. So that's kind of where we are at with the cable access and the PEG position.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, but, so if you didn't pay that person, though, that money would go back into the general fund
That is correct.
to offset taxes?
Correct.
Okay,
Which it
Okay.
has historically.
right,
Right.
okay, I get it.
Bobby?
Well, just saying, with Dick having left, his money's got back into the general fund, and with Andrew leaving, his 15 hours at $15 an hour has gone back in, so GTV is down to essentially one employee getting about 15 hours a week, so essentially has no funding, or there's no money being spent on it now.
It has funding, but there's not enough. We just
no one there.
made contingent offers to 2 individuals to tape meetings, so hopefully that will start rather.
Well, we're down to one individual typing meeting.
Right, but I'm saying we just, as a board, we just authorized the conditional
Right.
offer of employment for 2 additional people to start that process.
And if you go, you mentioned that other towns are doing really well. If you go to Bedford, BCTV, you can see what $250,000 will do in a collaboration between the public TV and Bedford and the Board of Selectmen and that whole building, what that looks like. It's a whole different world of working together, and it's a huge success. Londonderry's done the same thing. There's a lot of communities doing that, and it's quite a service.
I should say, though, that when the board arrived at using 2% of the 5% and going with a full-time director, we're doing it under the premise that if we do sign our cable franchise agreement with Comcast for that, in that manner, that it would be probably a 5-year type deal, and we would revisit it to see if it's working. Because if it's something, if we go down that road and it works, that's great, then we can renew, and it can be very similar to what those 5 years look like. However, if there's no negligible improvement, in the degree of programming, then we would certainly rethink, the whole thing.
Okay.
Well, not me, but the board.
I would just say, I don't understand why these guys have put in incredible hours. Most of the time, they're not paid, it's all volunteer effort. They've done a huge amount of filming in Concord. Most of what they're doing is not paid for. And I can't see anyone in town who's doing that, working at that level of volunteerism. And I just personally don't understand why that doesn't get funded. If it isn't wanted, nobody's watching it, then close the doors.
All right. Any motions on PEG television? Okay. Are we done for now with admin and police? Okay. Why don't we go to fire? Carl, I'm just going to hold you back. Your budget's a little more rigorous. And let's take a look at the fire department. And see who wants to ask questions, make comments, make motions.
Mr. Chair, I
Yes.
just wanted to let
Sorry.
you know, because I didn't get a chance to let you know beforehand, that Sue is here to present the Teamsters contract. So
Right.
if it's possible, maybe, Sue, do you have any time constraints? I just wanted to maybe accommodate her schedule.
That's fine if you want to do that
I
instead.
just don't know what Sue's schedule is.
That's part of the public works, right?
It's part of Public Works, yeah. Do you want to tackle it after
Do
the
you-
fire department?
Do any of you guys have time constraints at all? Well, Rich, if you don't mind, maybe we'll do that, so Sue can get, she's already been here long enough today.
It's up to you, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
I just wanted you to know, that's
All
why
right.
she's here.
Sue, why don't we go over that first, and then,
I must look good there. Yes, we've been working all year on the contract. As you remember, the contract last year, even though, I believe the budget committee ended up,
we straightened it out at the public hearing.
selectmen supported, but it didn't pass at town
No.
meeting. So we were held with the dilemma, do we come back to the voters with the same contract, or do we try something new?
If, for those of you who weren't on the board last year, what she's referring to is the fact that there was a contract that we voted on for fire wages, for fire contract, and there was another one for public works guys. And this committee said yes to one, recommended one, and did not recommend the other for public works. When we went to public hearing, we found a way to revisit that, and we ended up recommending both contracts for both groups. But when it got to the voters, the fire departments passed and the public works guys did not. And I think, this is just my opinion, there's a lot of people in town didn't realize what the public works guys had given up. So if you can, just.
Yeah, that's part of my
And
presentation.
that's what this is all about.
Okay, good. All right.
So this union consists of 24 members, and they've been out of contract for 2 years, 2011 and 2012. But regardless of the fact they were out of contract, they, at the request of management, signed a memorandum of agreement whereby they took on the higher co-pay health insurance plans.
Right.
And they took that on effective January 1st, 2011, which saved us a lot of money. We just completed the calculation, if they were still on their old plans for this year, it would have cost the taxpayers an additional $30,336. Okay, so that's a saving. I can pass these out so you can follow along. There's a few there. I'll move myself one. So that's a huge savings. We can only count that savings in 1 year. We can't, by law, count that savings even though it goes forward into next year's, because every year, as insurance goes up, if they're on the less expensive plan, we're saving more and more money. So, but we can only count, and I think that's one reason maybe that fire passed and DPW didn't, because fire used the offset of that savings the first year in the contract, offset the wage increases, so it looked like a zero impact.
Right.
But
And
these
so-
folks did it out of contract.
And so I was just gonna let the budget committee know, it's not that we can't or won't, it's the law does not allow us to. There was a case in the town of Sanborn,
Sanborn, yeah.
that went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said that you cannot guesstimate what potential health savings would be. So that's why you will not see, whenever you'll have collective bargaining agreements, you will only see what is the actual known first-year impact, and then salary is something that you can calculate, but health insurance benefits cannot be projected into the future.
Because they're
Due to that
too
law.
much of an unknown.
Right.
So we feel that we made two major achievements in the collective bargaining agreement this year. One of them was the single person plan. They weren't contributing anything. So we got them to the 10%. That was a major feat because a majority of the members are on the single person plan. So that was a major feat to get them to agree to that. The second huge accomplishment, I think, was to get to performance pay.
Yeah, no more step increases?
Right, no more automatic step, no more automatic COLA. What we have agreed to is a performance pay. Every employee will be evaluated, and we set a cap. They're gonna get either anywhere between 1% and 3%. That's a total increase, and it depends upon their evaluation. So we think that's major. We think that sets a roadmap for the future negotiations with the other unions and with non-union. And we're hoping that you folks will support this and the voters will support this, because it's unheard of
Right.
in union contracts to have performance pay and not some automatic steps
Yeah.
or COLA.
So we are eventually going to be asked to recommend this article,
Exactly.
okay? Not that we can make any change. Is this signed, by the way? Is this agreed?
Ratified by both the board
Yep.
and the
And the members of the
union.
Teamsters Union.
So we got time to, before we have to make a recommendation one way or the other.
Right, but I think we wanted to just get that in front of you, as early as possible, because a lot of times what happens is it's the last minute. It's the last meeting, and everyone is like, they feel under the gun, well, this is the impact. So you're getting it, like about a month before the
Right.
deadline.
The other thing in the cash outs, that changed. It was like, it should be like everyone else now, so we're all on the same page for that. They will be, instead of getting 70% of the single person plan for cash out, they'll be entitled to 55%. Instead of 100% to deposit into a 457 or 125 plan, they'll be eligible to deposit 85% of the single person plan. So
Okay.
now everyone will be on the same page in town if this passes in terms of health insurance, and then in the future, maybe we can work towards increasing that gradually.
Great.
Okay?
Anybody got questions for Sue?
I do. So I understand that there are some different things in this contract, but I'm just trying to get a feel for all the unions in town and all the different contracts and the non-unions. This one's different, but are the rest of them all pretty much more or less the same?
In terms
of
cash.
step and cost of living
The
No.
current
and health
contracts,
insurance contribution,
There's
or is
three-
it all different?
they're all similar. The other three right now they're gonna be in the last year, next year of a contract. And so the next year is a 3.25%, and this one, the same as everybody else.
Okay.
It's 2014 and 15 that we go to performance pay, and we'll be looking to do that, hopefully with the other
With the other
unions when
unions
we
too.
negotiate next year.
Okay.
But I will say that the difference between this one and the others is that there are steps in the other contracts, there are steps in the personnel plan that the town has. This will eliminate.
They've been frozen
Right.
now.
But they've been frozen.
for 3 years.
So there's only
Okay.
been, cost of living.
Right.
But, and then also in terms of the health insurance, yeah, that's very similar across the board.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but this, we're hoping that this will be the precursor
The
to.
model.
Yeah, towards kind of revamping the pay, the pay structure, the pay system, in town, so.
I would think, performance base is
Huge.
infinite, yeah.
Yeah.
Carl, I'm sorry, anybody else got questions for Sue?
I was just curious on the cash out. We got some data, Peter had sent some data was sent to us on the cost of the medical plans. And as I understand, there's it's a cafeteria.
Yes.
There's a number of plans where the costs are anywhere from $1,500 to $3,500 a month, and 80 to 85% of that is reimbursed.
Now, we have 2 plans that we offer everyone. One is the Blue.
Just admin.
No.
No, across, there's only 2 health insurance plans.
Total, okay.
Mhm. There's Blue Choice, Tier 3, and there's Matthew Thornton.
Okay,
And
so,
they're very close in price. They're not that dramatically different.
so what would be the cash out amount?
It would be the average of the two. But we
Whatever,
pay-
what it
yeah.
is, it's of the single-person cafeteria rate, and I can run upstairs and get that for you, but I don't have it off the top of my head.
Okay.
We take an average of the two.
Yeah, I was just wondering
Right.
what the number is.
So all these different contracts.
Is it 1,000
I
a
mean,
month, or?
That
How much would an
Oh.
employee get as cash?
I don't know.
Per year, I think it's somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000,
6,000 and 7,000
yeah,
as
per
cash?
year. Mhm. Well, yes, I think that's what it is.
We can get that information to you. I want to make sure you get the right number.
Right.
Anything else for Sue?
I have one other question that isn't directly about this, but it's about health insurance costs in general. I've been talking to some other people in private industry, and they're saying, well, they haven't seen their health insurance costs go up quite as much because they've managed to do funky things with co-pays and deductibles and change things up, and it's kept their overall costs pretty much even. Is the town able to do any of that?
We did do that.
Yeah.
We had like a $5 copay for office visits and a $25 copay for emergency rooms. And then the pharmaceuticals is what really gets you and drives the cost. The pharmaceuticals are really low too. So we changed it and now it's 20, what is it, 20, 30, and 45?
Yeah.
Something like that. Oh, no, 100 for the emergency room. We went up to $100 the emergency room, and 20 for office visits, and then pharmaceuticals, there's like 3 categories.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on what
Starting
plan
with
you're on, yeah.
10, 20, and then 45 for experimental medication.
But we're still seeing overall fairly substantial increases for health insurance.
This year we didn't,
No, not
actually.
this
This
year,
year we saw about a
5.6%.
5%.
Okay.
But that's the first year, it has averaged about 10% over the last 5 years.
Which is
Plus, we're
a
getting
lot.
a contribution holiday
Yeah.
this year, next year, based upon the 2011 surplus of our insurance carrier.
The other thing that we did is, we're entering into a voluntary program with LGC next year, which is going to look at services that you might get and the potential of maybe shopping around for where you can get the best deal. I know this sounds a little bit crazy, but let me give you an example. If I know that I need to have arthroscopic knee surgery and I go to my doctor and I have to get an ACL, an arthroscopic knee surgery, they will then say, okay, if you go to these 6 different places, this one is the least expensive. And by the way, if you decide to go there, you will share in the cost savings, the employee does. So, and I'm not sure if you know this or not, but if you take a look at anything, whether it be, knee surgery, an appendectomy, whatever, it could vary wide, like 20, 30% of the cost, whether you go to CMC Southern Medical Center, New Hampshire Medical Center. I mean, it's a wide difference.
Yeah,
So-
that's called Compass Shopper,
Yeah.
and we were chosen as a pilot program, and that will start January 1st. So people will be incentivized for shopping around for
For care,
Yep.
in a way, yeah.
some, there's a list of items that they'll consider.
Okay.
Ivan?
Then, just another question. Apologize that I don't know the answer, but when a union employee retires and reaches the retirement period, what happens to the healthcare plans? Do they stop?
Under state law, we have to offer them the same plan as offered to active employees, but the town does not contribute any money towards it.
Any money at all?
So they would pay the same premium that, whatever the cost of the premium is, they would pay that.
There would be zero contribution from the town
Right.
for life.
Right, there are some groups that have it as a benefit in their retirement system, police and fire, for example, so they get a subsidy. And there was a small window of opportunity for group one employees, but it was a very short period of time. And so you may see a few of those getting it from the New Hampshire retirement system, a subsidy. But right now, no one in group one gets a subsidy, only group two,
And group two is,
police and fire.
Police fire.
police and fire would get the,
Right.
okay.
Joe?
In light of the state's reduction in retirement contributions, was there any change in the workers' contribution to retirement?
Workers'
Yes.
contribution went up July 1st. It went up,
Yeah.
group one went from 5 to 7%.
Okay.
And group two went up substantially also. I don't know the exact numbers, but the chiefs might remember.
Anybody else?
They never contributed to group one, by the way, the state did. They contributed to police and fire.
Oh, okay. I see. So it was only police and fire.
Right.
Schools?
And, yeah, did they ever contribute to schools?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
okay. Yeah, so that was-
$450,000 worth of contribution.
Guess you're off the hook, Sue.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, so think about this until the end of the month when we make our recommendations, and we'll go from there. Chief, I guess we might as well run through yours. I know one of your, the EMS budget is self-funding, so we're basically looking at fire.
Last time when I presented, I think Elizabeth, you had a question in regards to the calls in the past 10 years. So what I did is I made a graph showing the progression of the call volume. Pass that way, pass this way. I think John Bird had a question on number of full-time employees, and at the bottom of that graph, you show the progression of the number of full-time employees over the course of time. Thank you.
Chief, if I could just interject, I was reading an article from the New Boston Bulletin about their budget process, and I thought that there was a lot of questions this year and even last year about, volunteer fire departments and call firefighters, and it was interesting, because I think is his name McDonald, is that his name?
Chief McDonald,
Yeah. He was talking about how it's becoming increasingly difficult to get people to be call firefighters, volunteer, EMS, et cetera. And it even goes to, I think, what you said before. I mean, trying to get volunteers to even do GTV and kind of keep it running is difficult. And the one thing that I keep on, I guess, forgetting when we have these discussions is that we used to have an all-volunteer EMS ambulance called GEMSA, and unfortunately, they turned over their ambulances and they turned it over to the town because they had a very difficult time staffing the ambulances through strictly volunteers. So I think it's just a reflection of the times, and I think that's what's driving some of this.
Question, you bring up New Boston. It's my understanding that their police department does not have a union, so they're non-union police. Do they have trouble hiring policemen in New Boston?
That I don't know. No.
They do, huh? Okay.
Last I knew, they had 1.3 or 4 openings.
Okay, while the chief is here, any questions on the fire department budget? Any motions, any comments?
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah, go ahead, chief.
Chief, on the line, turnout equipment, I noticed that you've encumbered at $10,181, which leads me to believe that you've probably ordered the turnout gear for the year, and that pretty much covers it.
Yeah.
So, in so doing, it almost looks like, you got $4,000 left. Would that be an indication of where it might be next year too?
Actually, we just ordered a second order of turnout gear. We didn't want a bunch of turnout gear coming in all at once, so it's like the second phase. It's a smaller phase, you're talking only three or four sets. But we just ordered them actually 2 nights ago. It's a phasing process, so we're not ordering a tremendous amount of gear all at once. According to NFPA, we can't keep firefighting gear online for more than 10 years. And so right now we're cycling out those sets that are at that 8 to 9 year mark. So we're not at that point where somebody's got non-compliant gear. And if we, right now, each set, just pants and coats, mind you, not even, we're talking boots, helmet, or gloves, or anything like that, just the pants and coats, run $1,800 a set.
If I was to make a motion to cut 4,000 out of that, would that hurt that line for another year?
It would hurt the cycle, because what happens is, again, by deferring it, you're deferring those sets that are gonna need replacement next year. And you get into the position where, when all of a sudden you have a larger group of sets that need to be replaced, you have to double that line or find that money down the road, and of course, the governments aren't gonna get any cheaper. They're gonna get more expensive every year.
So I guess probably if you were to hire 4 or 5 more guys, the probability would be that you wouldn't be able to put turnout gear on them because you don't know that it's gonna fit them.
Right, and that's, of course, we don't hire by size or weight.
Okay.
But we do our best.
Do you have a motion, Chief? Okay. Anyone else have any questions for the chief on the fire budget? Brian?
What's, body repairs, something to do with vehicles or something?
Body repair is down, on
It's 53,630.
5630. That is typically, it's a separate line where if a truck is rusting out or we have to replace paint that's failing on a vehicle, that's where that comes out of. For example, we had some issue with some paint on one of the staff cars recently where it wasn't covered under warranty. We had to adjust that. It extends the life of the vehicles by doing that, and also we have some work to be done on engine sites.
Do you anticipate spending the entire 7,500?
Now,
You anticipated it last year and you haven't. I mean, this year.
This is one of those lines where, of course, it's the bottom line budget, okay? So I'm running over on tires, I'm running over on vehicle maintenance. That money's gotta come from somewhere. So if we have a paint failure on a truck, we'll let the paint failure go another year if we have to, in order to keep tires on our trucks. So just keep that in mind.
Okay. Good answer. Anyone else? Are we gonna, go ahead,
I just have
Brian.
another quick, on like the tires, for example, it's not a whole bunch of money, but you guys replacing when they're dry rotted more than anything? I mean, you can't be putting enough miles on them to wear them out.
We do wear them out, they're heavier vehicles, so with the roads, and we do put enough miles on them, they wear down. And we just had to go through replacing engine 4s and engine 6s, tires. And next year, we anticipate having to replace Tara 1's tires. And that's the heavier vehicle.
Just fronts or rears or?
Fronts and rears. Again, the larger vehicles, and when we're going through tight corners and turns like the roundabouts, you get the front stuff and the rear stuff. And that's the.
Well, Mr. Joe's gonna just,
Yep. And of course, the ambulances, they get the major miles on them.
How many miles of those trucks you put on in a year?
It depends on the vehicle. For example, engine 2 and engine 1 roll the most. So they'll put anywhere from 12 to 15,000 miles on. For an emergency vehicle, that's a pretty good amount. We're trying to cut down on some of the mileage on them. So for example, if we're to assist the ambulance for an ambulance call, we're now transitioning some of the, getting some of the extra personnel and crew there in either a staff vehicle or pickup truck to help reduce the wear and tear in larger vehicles.
Anyone else? Are we ready to move to EMS? Let's do it. Chief, EMS is self-funding, right?
Yes.
Okay.
EMS is self-running, and whatever we spend, we want to make sure that we're bringing in revenue, in billables. So as we track the year, I also track in the revenue, and you'll see this year, actually, we were a little higher in revenue than what we've actually spent. This coming year, our biggest change in the EMS budget is we have to replace our equipment on a staggered basis, and we'll be replacing one of our cardiac monitor defibrillator units. And just one unit costs $38,000, so that's why you see that big jump in the EMS equipment line.
And our rates, our ambulance rates are lower than, or did we bring them up to?
But every year they're evaluated. For the most part, they are, there's a Medicare rate, and then it's
Medicare plus
20
20%.
plus 20%.
And
We add
that's-
20% to that. Right?
So we are charging that, Medicare plus
Yes,
20.
and,
Okay.
and we take a look at, the chief takes a look at it every year, comes to the Board of Selectmen, and we make adjustments. He takes a look at what's being charged in surrounding communities and tries to make sure that we are, within a
Okay.
reasonable amount.
Cool.
The bottom line is we base our fees according to our budget. And again, we can charge more, but if we don't need to, then we won't.
Okay. Elizabeth, when you were gone, we moved out of fire to EMS. Were you done with fire?
Pretty much.
You need to go back and look at it?
Well, I'm still kind of wrestling with it. I mean, when I look at the summary sheet, your department has one of the largest increases
We're back to
out
fire.
of all the departments. And I guess I'm trying to, and then I'm looking at the numbers and I'm trying to figure out where it's coming from. When you're not hiring new personnel,
Well, it was a big jump in retirement.
Yeah, retirement is the big.
Retirement is the,
Big jump.
Really big jump.
is that where it's all coming from?
yeah.
Well, there's an increase in your regular wages, but that's contractual, right? Okay.
And there's an increase in overtime, but I mean, you're already expending it,
Correct.
so you overexpend that line, so it's all retirement.
It's 40, at least it's,
Close.
jumped to 40, almost $40,000.
I mean, everything else, I see only very small increases and I see decreases in several lines. So I mean, I guess that was my.
You know what it
my
is?
question.
You're looking at 73,000 of that 114 is just contractual wage increase and retirement.
That must be
You know,
it. Because I just
73,
have
yeah.
a hard time putting my finger on where it is.
Yeah.
And a couple of things where, when you look at the benefit line, health benefits, we do have some of our firefighters that are possibly taking, instead of a two-person plan, it's on family, so you see differences in like that,
Okay,
along with the annual increase.
okay.
Anything else on fire or EMS? You may actually escape unscathed for now tonight, Chief.
The selectmen took care of that.
Yeah, they did. Well, yeah, Brian.
I got one more back on there, just out of curiosity. The generator maintenance, at least this year and as of now and last year, you had $12.99.97, and you keep finding it at $2,500. Is it something big coming up on it, or?
Well, they're all three generators are aging, and we've been fortunate where, like some of the repairs that we've been doing, for example, the last one, we needed to replace a radiator on one of them, and we're able to tap in the mechanics from DPW, so that saved us a lot of money there. If we had to go through Powers generator to do that work, that line would be expensive, I guarantee it. The rates are different. We do things like that to try to keep that line in check, but we anticipate, we're hoping that it doesn't happen, but it could be a major failure coming up just because of the age of those generators.
Anybody else? We ready to leave fire? Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you.
So, while Carl is sleeping, actually, Carl, he's been here longer than you, Rick, so if it's okay with you, no problem.
You can let Rick go.
No,
Or imagine you'll be longer.
Didn't we already do Parks and Rec?
I don't know, did we?
I thought we did.
I thought we did.
I thought we went through it.
It's okay, you can leave.
I must have slept through that part.
Excellent, thank you.
Hold on, Rick.
I'll stay for a
We didn't touch a single line in Park and Rec?
I'll stay for
I think we got his presentation, but I don't think we actually
Yeah, I don't think we deliberated on the budget.
Really?
No.
Yeah,
thought we did. I kind of thought I did.
Did we,
I
Brian?
felt like we
I
did.
thought we did library and
Were you
Parks
here?
and Rec and admin.
I was here for
And
the
police.
second night you guys were deliberating.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that may be the meeting I missed.
You guys can do Kyle and
Okay.
think about it, and I'll.
All right,
I can look at the minutes.
Public Works. Carol, do you want to speak to that contract at all, or does Sue pretty much cover it?
I think Sue covered it. I can't stress enough, though, how big that performance pay is.
Yeah.
That's gonna.
It sets a precedent for the others, too.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with, let's get cemetery out of the way from the Public Works. That's actually a nice reduction. Thank you, Carl.
It's just a mower.
How did the benefits went down because,
It's HIPAA, it was in our audit, it's a violation of HIPAA to have that shown in that, so
Ah.
it's just moved to administration or operations.
anybody have anything on cemetery operations? Questions, motions? Let's go to Public Works operations. I have a question for you, Carl. On the traffic light repair, do we have one or more in particular in mind?
Yeah, that's the Hannaford controller. The last controller, the last old controller on that road is the one Hannaford intersection. We budgeted to replace that one.
Now, didn't we replace one, was it last year? Or this year or the year before?
It
Some-
might have been 2 years ago, we did the Shaw's.
Oh, okay, that's what it is. That's right, Shaw's Hannaford, okay.
And then over the summer, we did a lot of work on Canard Square, Kelly Street.
Okay.
I have one.
Yep, oh, I'm sorry, Liz, didn't see it.
That's okay. The consulting line,
Could you give me a number?
45030.
Got it.
That's, you're asking for $4,500 additional. I see you've already overspent this line pretty substantially. What, does that have anything to do with the GIS flyover that didn't get done, or?
That entire increase is in roadside mowing. Our roadside mowing had gotten completely out of hand with the failure of the old Holder tractor. So
Oh, that's right,
last
you did
year,
talk about
we budgeted to contract out roadside mowing.
Right.
It's gonna take us a couple of years to really get that back under control. We feel it went really well last summer. The vendor we used did have another opening late in the summer,
Right.
so we brought him back to do a little more. But we did increase our request next year to continue trying to make progress with that.
Okay.
Gee?
Yeah, Carl, the overtime line, I'm looking here, it says that last year you had 130,000. The total expenditure to date, and this is the end of October, was 57,000, but you got an available balance of 72,000. I realize that we haven't had any overtime much this year for storms, except for the last one a little bit. But is there some reason for like $60,000 short of what?
Last winter, it correlates exactly with the diesel fuel line and the salt line. We just didn't have much of a winter last winter. So when I was here and I presented to the budget committee, that question was raised, and I did send a reply. I assume you all got my response. We looked at a 5-year average. The 5-year average on the overtime is about 120,000. Obviously, it's not a discretionary line, it's a,
We don't know.
when the weather calls, it's going.
So you said your 5-year average is 120,000,
Yeah.
and so why did you ask for 130?
I don't put any salt in what happened last winter.
Yeah.
I've been in this business
It's a pun.
26 years, that's the first time that I've ever seen a winter like that, so I kind of discount last winter as an anomaly. However, when asked the question, I did go back and figure out the average, and it did bring it down substantially.
Yeah, but I think what she's asking you is why, if the average is 120, why are you at 130?
Because I think that's what it should be. If you took last winter out of the average,
Hmm?
average the 5 years prior, it would be 130.
Oh, your 120 average includes,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we've had years up to 140, 150, depending on.
Just don't know what you're gonna get.
And you did the same thing with salt. You didn't count last winter in the
That's
5-year
correct.
average, right?
Right. Yeah, and in my reply, I did tell you what it is with the full-year average.
Right?
So I guess my question is all this money that we saved from last winter, is that going back in the general fund? Is that what's happening with this, or are we using it all this year?
Most of it will go back to the general fund.
I guess I mean, there's a substantial amount of money between everything.
One isn't, though. I mean, there was one with regard to the radio. I don't know if you want to talk about the radio.
Yeah, after our last meeting, the selectmen and Public Works, early in the year, had committed to coming into compliance with the FCC regulations, and we identified the savings in the salt line as our saving grace as to where we would come up with our $53,000 match. It was expressed at that meeting that some of the budget committee members, though they understood the idea of bottom line budgeting, and we identified savings, so we use it. We did move that expense into communications instead of the salt line. So now, when you look at your report, the salt line does show a very large under expenditure, but if you look at our communication line, it's way over. Bottom line is, we're gonna be just fine because we had substantial savings. The other projects that we have been talking about, I don't think we've moved forward with any of them as far as capitalizing on savings. Now, the scale failure is the same situation in solid waste. So the bottom line of the solid waste operations may be in jeopardy, but again, the public works operations will be fine to offset that at the end of the year.
That 137 on the salt line, for example, okay, that number, is that including those radios? Because we went through this last time.
On your sheet, I think it does, Carl.
It does.
Oh, on that?
On that blue sheet, it
Yes.
does, but we have
Okay.
since made a journal correction.
Which it was what, 150?
It was 53,000.
No, I know, but the total on that line. with those in it, because right now, I'm showing 137 on mine.
137 expended. Right, but that includes the 50-some odd thousand for the radio, so you'd be looking at around, you know, and again, I don't,
No, and
you
I,
must
and I,
subtract out,
and I totally understand. I guess the only reason I was asking is because we have 190, there's 137. Quick math tells me, because I don't know, 52,000 and change or something left over just in that line.
there'll be substantially more left in that line, provided we don't have
Massive storm.
storms between now and the end of the year.
Just a comment to the board too. So I'm sure that you have the impulse to equate the snow in your front yard with our salt use. I, this past weekend, had an opportunity to visit Granite State Minerals in Portsmouth where we get our material. And as we walked around their yard, it was just slightly, you remember what Friday and Saturday were like, just slightly snowing. And that guy was whistling and singing all day long because he would rather have every day
Like that.
just get hit with a little half-inch freezing, little drizzle, than have a 12-inch storm. We use the same amount of snow, or the same amount of salt in a little half-inch sleet storm as we do in a 12-inch snowstorm.
Sometimes
So,
more.
yeah, so it just, don't equate, you know, all of this with, hey, I don't have snow in my yard, so DPW must not be responding. We're out, we've been out every other day for the past week, hitting the roads and early morning commutes, so we're burning through the salt right now.
But that's already been paid for, correct?
No, we just ordered a whole bunch of loads that will be delivered to replenish the shed. So we'll have some invoices coming in this month. So we pay for it as we order it.
Carl, how does that with, you know, you got a storm coming in Thursday afternoon at 6 o'clock at night or something like that, and you got guys out doing maintenance stuff like, do you ever say, all right, we're gonna cut off at 2 o'clock today because we gotta come on, you guys are gonna be plowing all night long to kind of offset some of the overtime? How do you do that? I'm curious.
If we have done that, if it is absolutely just imminent, there is no doubt about it, we have a blizzard coming and the guy's gonna be in for a long, drawn-out affair, we'll do that. We would send them home. It doesn't happen often because you just don't know. You know, I'd hate to send them home, then we don't get the storm, and then they all end up short at the end of the week with, okay, now they haven't worked the full week. Because we do guarantee in 40 hours. So it's a balancing act. We have done it, and we just know, particularly when we're in a winter where, you know, they've been up all weekend, we have a couple of days where, okay, it's not bad, got another big one coming.
Right.
So they've already got, 36, 40 hours in the bank, like, okay, you guys go and get some rest.
Right.
So we really try to balance it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's in the contract that we can do that.
Okay, that's what I was curious.
I got a question.
Liz? Oh, sorry.
Brian, can go.
Salt line, is there a reason why you're $11,000 higher than last year in the budget for?
It's a formula based on average.
Okay.
So it's simply the 5-year average times whatever the bid price we get from DOT. And last year, when I looked back, the budget committee, I think at the motion of Mr. Karen, did make just a lump sum cut. You know, we had used the formula, but there was a cut 10,000 or whatever it was. So that's why
Probably.
the math doesn't work.
Elizabeth?
I'm sure we've probably talked about this before, but the resurfacing and the crack sealing lines, they are both dramatically underspent. And in fact, the resurfacing line has been underspent 2 years in a row.
If that budget report you're looking at, the blue sheet, does not add encumbrances. So it's never been underspent. We encumber every penny at the end of the year, but that blue sheet doesn't pick up encumbrances. That's one of the things that the new finance software is hoping to take care of. So if you look at your white monthly budget printouts, you look at a year end from that, you'd see the full expenditure.
So
Crack
we-
sealing this year we didn't use, because we had really done a thorough job the year before, and I just felt that was an area in the default budget we could save a little, but we did spend it on the resurfacing.
So we still have encumbrances from 2011?
Not anymore.
Okay, but when these sheets were generated, we still did?
No, but they just, the money, when we signed the Brock's contract for 2012, the money gets encumbered, you just don't see it on that printout.
Okay.
So Elizabeth, are you talking about, in the resurfacing line of 509,000? And then the year end was 268,000?
Exactly.
And that must have been encumbered by the time this went to print, so that was the final number?
No,
For
it does
2011?
not, that does not pick up encumbrance. So you have to go back and add the encumbrance amount at year end last year to that number, which I'd be happy to get you, but I promise you, because I very carefully write the POs, I spend everything. It
Chief?
all gets encumbered.
You have a question?
Yeah, so that crack sealing, Kyle, you didn't spend it. You got $25,000 there, is there a reason for that?
The resurfacing line or the sidewalk line would show a $25,000 over expenditure. So it's just balancing one of the other lines.
Yeah, if you look at the sidewalk maintenance, year-to-date spent is 113.5 almost, and the budget is 71,000.
60120, okay, yeah,
60120,
yeah.
Now, is that part of the sidewalk project that we did, or is that what?
Yeah, Bernardville, Mass Road sidewalk.
What line's that?
It's the last one in that, in
So
public
that's how-
operations,
that's how
the
it was funded, through that
60120,
line.
Yeah.
the last 5 digits.
That was another, I mean, I think we talked about that, that was another situation as we were doing the roads down there was an opportunity to do it, rather than come back, you know, because that was been in the CIP for God knows how long, get it done while they're ripping up the roads, and our board decided, you know what, it makes a lot of sense to do this, to finish this sidewalk now, rather than coming back in 3, 4, 5 years and ripping things up again, so. So that's why Carl made the decision to not do the seal cracking and go with the sidewalk.
Anything else on Public Works operations? Maybe we can come back to it, we just go to solid waste.
Carl, I had a question. You told us a couple of weeks ago at the board level that we may see a shift and we may get paid for, what's the volatility of this though? I mean, can it change month to month? So it's really not something you can ever really bank on, right?
It literally, if any of you are prone to track commodities on the stock market, one of them is recycling. And it is completely driven by what's happening in China, you know, with what materials they need, or they're doing. So we swung in the last 4 months, we went from being paid $25 a ton. The next month, we were paying $10 a ton. It went to paying 15, and now we're back up to being paid 15. So it's, I mean, it's literally a roller coaster.
And
We've enjoyed, you know, over a couple of years' time, it's netted out where we've been getting paid more than we've had to pay.
Do you track that?
Yeah.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I believe it's still on the website. If you go to the solid waste page on the DPW website,
Yeah.
we added a little graph that shows
Okay, I was just curious, yeah.
month by month by month what's happening with our trash
So,
and recycling.
if we're getting paid, why is that such a big jump in the recycling removal line?
Well, at the time when we did the budgets was when we were staring down the barrels of $25 a ton paying for it. So it's
I'm
a
showing
product of the time.
a request for 31,000, that hasn't changed, right?
That's correct, nothing has changed.
Now, there is other things in there, because we do have to pay, we have to pay to get rid of Freon appliances, we have to pay to get rid of tires, we have to pay, to get rid there's a whole bunch of things that are in there. But our 2,000 tons, at $25 a ton, is probably part of that.
Okay, but the current budget on that line, it's 59, I'm sorry. It's 45,930, in case anybody wants to look at it. Your current budget is 7. We're year-to-date expended 11, and the request is for 31. And we're being paid now.
As of right now, yes.
Anybody have any motions on that? Because I do, if nobody else does. Well, I'm going to make a motion to reduce that line to 15,000. That would be a reduction of 9. And I'm basing that on, well, first of all, I'm not going to do the explanations. Is there a second to it?
Wait, your math, I'm a little confused by your math.
I'm sorry.
15,000 wouldn't leave you at 9.
No. I want to reduce it to 15,000.
Okay.
Which gives
Okay.
a buffer as opposed to what we've
Right.
been using.
Right.
You're giving a little,
Okay.
I'll second that.
You're seconding that? Okay. Give me a minute here. And that line number was, okay, recycle removal. I'll just speak to it real quick. I'm just looking at the current expenditures. I'm considering what was budgeted last year, and I'm considering the fact that we're now being paid. So even though it's more than double what the current budgeted amount for this line is, to me, that gives them enough of a buffer. It is a bottom line budget. If things switch around again, there are other lines that might be able to, but this buffer, I think, would help cover it. Lee, you want to speak to your second?
Nope, I agree. I think we're over what we've been, and if you take the average of what we've been using over the past few years, it's been pretty level, whether we're more, which is neutral as far as what we're paying.
Okay. Anyone else want to make a comment, question? All right, well, let's take a vote on it then. The motion is to reduce that line from 31,000 to 15,000. All in favor, signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, that's 10
I'm gonna
more.
vote for it too, it sounded like reasonable.
Are you seriously voting for it?
Yeah. There you go.
Should have been a bigger amount then.
It clearly wasn't enough.
Thank you. Okay, anything else on, where are you guys on your CIP, on your special articles?
Good done. No, I shouldn't say that. We have a general idea of where we're going. As you know, some of them are funded through the use of the fund balance.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we kind of know where we are there. Just the only ones that we have not solidified are possibility of a fire department.
See, here's what I'm thinking.
CRF.
Once we finish solid waste, and I don't know if are we done solid waste?
I have one more question.
Okay, go.
Well, you can finish your discussion.
What I was thinking is, since we've got both chiefs here and Carl, if they want to speak to any items that
I
they
think that would
might.
be a good idea.
I don't think that we should be making motions on it tonight without Peter and some of the other members, but we might want to hear anything they want to speak to.
Well, the one that I definitely want to speak to is I'd heard some concerns about this tractor trailer, for solid waste.
Okay.
And because it's replacing the backup, and I've had conversations with Carl about one of our other pieces of equipment there, and.
All right, why don't we finish up solid waste,
Yeah.
and then you guys want to speak to your police vehicles chief or fire department, whatever they may have. Okay, Lisa, you had a question?
It's real quick. Solid waste operations operating supplies, it's line 47120. From what I understand, this is for recycling cans. You're expended to date around $1,000. Last year you spent about $2,000, and you're requesting $12,000. And from the discussion before, I thought that you had said that you do have recycling bins, currently you have some. So I'm just wondering, I know it's not a lot of money, but why are we asking for this much money?
Well, we just ordered, so I just signed the PO the end of last week. That line will be overexpended this year. We had to order a load. It's pretty volatile, because when we order a load, we have to order a whole tractor trailer load. So when we do it, it's a big amount.
So if you ordered a whole bunch this year and you're paying for them now, are you gonna need $12,000
Well, I was gonna
for
take a
next
break
year?
anyway.
Probably not.
I don't know where to go with that. 47120.
Well, I guess the question is there, like, the year that you spent, where is it?
972.95.
Yeah, 9/7, like, what did you buy?
That's year
that
to
year?
date this year.
That's this year.
Oh, so you haven't been billed yet?
No, we haven't been billed.
What about last year? You spent like $2,000, so that wasn't a whole load. What did that go towards?
Well, what kind of throws it off, there's a couple things that throw it off. One, we also have a great warranty on those, so I don't remember exactly when, but, we stockpile all the broken ones, and we have an inventory of them. If they're within the 10-year warranty, they basically credit us the full amount. So I know a couple of years ago, we had them come up, they went through the inventory, they took a whole load of broken ones away. So we ordered them one year and we got an unbelievable amount of credit. So that might be the year you're looking at a low expense.
Okay.
But we have not purchased any this year with the 12,000 that was in this line.
Just like last week.
Okay, that's gonna come out of this year's budget then. Okay, so we don't really anticipate spending $12,000 more next year for,
The entire thing is driven by construction, new homes, it's how many get broken and what happens to our stock. We certainly are not building houses like we were several years ago. So unless the building market goes crazy and we have a whole lot of winter damage on barrels, we probably won't go through the.
Brian?
All right, two things. Well, first, I need a new recycle bin last.
Just call the Stale House, they'll take care of it.
Realistically, on this line, what do you think you'd need?
If we order a load, we need $12,000.
Like, you already ordered a load this year, foreseeing next year.
If we have to order a load, we'll need $12,000.
If you don't have to order a
If we
load?
don't order a load,
Is
we
it
won't
zero?
spend any,
Historically, yeah.
You're not looking in 11, you didn't buy a load.
All right, well, since we just bought a load, I'm gonna make a motion to lower this line to 2,500.
Second.
Brian, second. I'll just speak real quick. If I was betting man and we just ordered $12,000 worth of barrels, we're not gonna order 12,000 in 2013. That's just a guess. Brian, you got anything you want?
No, that basically sums it up.
All right, anybody else have any comments? Are you ready to take a vote on it? The motion is to reduce the solid waste operations operating supplies line from 12,000 to 2,500. All in favor, signify by raising your hand. That's 10 in favor, 1 out, okay.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
What is tipping?
It's what you pay, it's what you pay to dispose of the waste,
Okay, so.
or the recyclables, or.
Tipping is just waste,
Yeah.
CMSW.
Okay. I noticed in 11, we were at 300 almost 310, let's round up. Our working budget this year is 300, just shy of 319, and now you're asking for the low of 323. Is that just an expense you're expecting to go up every year, or?
Yeah, contractually, we have I forget, I think it's 3.25% increase that kicks in every April.
Mhm.
So the first 4 months that are at the same rate we're paying today, the last 8 months are whatever that contractual increase is. Our tipping rate, our tonnage, we have a very detailed graph. We've been tracking it for decades. So we have a pretty good handle on what's going to happen to our on it next year where funds will produce. So again, it's just a formula, it's the tons we anticipate times an adjusted rate.
Lisa?
I'm sorry, I know you guys want to move on, but, solid waste, let's see, 44100 professional dues. I think we had talked about this, it was for New England Resource Recovery Association, but it looks like maybe you're paying for it from another line because you didn't expend it last year and it hasn't been used this year, $1,700.
Yeah, I don't remember, did I, in my email, did I address that?
You just said what it was for.
Yeah, and I think you're correct. I think it got miscoded at the beginning of the year. That is a formula. There's two things in that line. There's the NRA dues, and then our scale house operators. We have certified transfer station operators and certified scale house operators that we have to pay annual fees for their certifications. So all of it is a set amount. The NRA dues is based on population, and the fees for the certifications are set. So there's no guessing in that line, so things just got miscoded. And I haven't had the time to track it down yet.
Liz?
Consulting contractual expenses on this one, line 45030.
That is 100% dedicated to our closed landfill in Pinardville. We set that aside to track our expenses for that facility. And that is the one place in our budget where we actually have a line that says contingency. Because if we have any kind of slope failure or any settlement of the cap that we have to deal with, that's where we would go to get the money to deal with it. So there are some normal expenses that go on down there. The flare has to be maintained, the sampling that has to be done 3 times a year, the groundwater management report that we have to produce, but there's a pretty good chunk in there that is simply contingency in the event that we have a slope failure.
Okay, but that 15,000, if that happened, it would be pretty serious, it would be a pretty serious thing.
Sometimes, you know, the October '05 floods, it was 175,000 serious. But we've had several smaller incidents that we've been able to take care of with that line over the years.
Have you ever expended the full amount?
Yes, we've overexpended it several times.
But not in recent years.
No.
7,500 last year, and this year you're at 10. According to this anyways. Well, as of October 31st.
I guess I'm trying to figure out like how reasonable is this amount of 25,000? I mean, you got these, let's say you have like 10,000 in regular expenses, okay, that you're gonna pay every year, which sort of corresponds with what you have expended here. How realistic is it that putting 15,000 in is going to cover what actually happens? I mean, as you said, it could be 175,000 or you could expend nothing.
Yeah.
So kind of what's the point of having 15?
Well, I think when we did it, it probably wouldn't be as big a deal now, but when we originally did it, 2001, is when we closed that. The commitment we had with DES is that we would fund a reasonable amount for maintenance. Since 2001, we've only had one catastrophic failure, and that was when we had the whole Redeem Mud go down there in October of '05. Since then, we've rebuilt 2 of the swales. We've done a considerable amount of work, in-house to shore up areas that were suspect. And we haven't had any problems that we couldn't handle within that line. So, you're correct in saying, well, if it's a contingency, we can have that debate all day long, you need a contingency. And I'll tell you this, in my opinion, which I know you're all going to have your own opinion, but this budget has been cut so lean that there is no contingency built in. So if you don't have an area somewhere for that event, then, one of the selectmen are going to dig into fund balance, which is okay. That's what that's for too. It's just a little more involved process. And it really doesn't matter to me, because when the slope fails, whatever it is, we have to react to
deal
it,
with
we
it.
have to deal with it.
I mean, but isn't it all sort of contingency? I mean, we could have 50 snowstorms in a year, and you'd have to go back to the selectmen then and
Right.
say, we're overexpent everywhere.
Correct. So I think, what you're looking at, if you look at the monthly reports and what we spent last year, that's kind of the average for the sampling and for the propane to run the flare and the supplies and I can tell you, it's like 15,000 that is just slope contingency. It's just there in case.
Okay, well, then I'm gonna make a motion, and leave you a little bit of buffer, but I'm gonna move that we, reduce that line by 10,000.
And that line is what?
It is 45,030, under solid waste operations.
3-0, got it.
Yes, it'd be 15,1, which according to this, it covers the yearly expenses and a couple thousand extra, in case something small comes up.
Is there a second?
I'll second
All right. Liz, you want to speak to it?
I think I did.
Brian?
You said it all.
Okay. What's that line number again? 030.
45.
Yeah.
45030.
Oh, God, okay. From 25-1 to 15-1. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, anybody else want to make a comment on this at all? Any discussion? All right, there's a motion to reduce that line from 25,100 down to 15,100. All in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Got 9. Opposed? 2. Okay. Motion passes 9-2. Oops. Brian, you got a question?
Yeah, just curious, Carol, on the professional dues, you guys budget 1750, but from what I can see, you guys don't use it. Oh, we did? I lost, I missed that. I was mistaken, I'm sorry. What was the answer?
It had been miscoded.
No, that's all right. Sorry about that. I was taking a minute, sorry.
Do we have anything else on solid waste? Because if we don't, I'm suggesting we might want to take a break. Say, let's see, it's 8:38. How about like it's 10 minutes of 9, we can reconvene. And maybe we can get our questions asked of the department heads on the CIP items and defer making motions on them until we've got a, Peter back. Sound good?
Sounds fair.
All right, see you guys in 10 minutes up. We're back. Brian, you had a question for Carl
That was.
I did.
before we leave DPW?
I'm looking for my X's, hold on.
Your X's?
Looking for you.
Well,
They're in Texas.
I X'd. Yeah, that's why you know.
By the way, we did do Parks and Rec.
Must have been
Carl.
that. We're still on public, but thank you.
The miscellaneous tool item.
You got a line number?
I'm sorry,
Brian?
hold on, let me move this over. 54,560.
Okay, got it.
It was 8,000, and then it went to 12,000, and now it's jumped up to 20,650. 69% higher.
Talking about this year's expenses?
Well, I'm looking at what's going on for next year. It went from 12 to 20,000.
If you look in my presentation.
Police, I'm
I handed
sorry.
out,
Yeah.
There's a detailed.
Public Works Operations, Joe.
List of what is in that budget.
It's air dryer on shop compressor, 1,800, 7 tires, 6,650, 15,000-pound truck lift in the third bay, 8,200, and shop tools, 4,000.
So we're adding another lift, is that for 5,000?
So it's only 4,000 for miscellaneous tools?
Yeah,
Or
that's, just to clarify, chastise for not saying this at the last meeting when I was asked the question. That's not just garage tools, that's shovels, rakes, asphalt boots, wheelbarrows, I mean, it's the whole department, $4,000 for all of the miscellaneous tools.
It makes a difference.
Okay.
Elizabeth?
Back on solid waste, right at the end, there's a whole bunch of lines for maintenance charges. Not the vehicle one, but the other ones, they're all like seriously underspent.
Not anymore.
Even from 2011, they're underspent.
Those are all, there's the compactors down there, so we have $4,000 to maintain those. Each one of them has a purpose, and it's, a lot of it is just in case. You can't, if a piston goes in the compactor, you can't even get somebody to come look at it for less than $3,000 or $4,000. So we've had a couple of years that we've been pretty fortunate. This year, not so much. We just spent $40,000 replacing the scale, so
Okay.
it's all a little wiped out.
Anything else on solid waste or DPW as a whole? Okay. We can always revisit any of these, okay? If you guys got stuff in CIP and you'd like to speak to it, or if anybody's got any questions about the items that are in CIP for now, we're not gonna make any motions on them at this point, but I figure while you guys are all here, before we go to fire, Chief, you've got just two cruisers, right?
I've got 2 cruisers, I've also got a command post.
Pardon me?
The command post is in there as well. The command post we have now is over 20 years old.
Oh, yeah.
It's seen its better day. The suspension underneath the truck, it rocks back and forth, driving at 30 miles an hour down the road is dangerous. I have people now pulling up to the back of it, unloading stuff and doing the crime scenes with that. So it's not just a command post, it's also a crime scene processing.
Is that in the same line?
You know, yes, well.
Police vehicles,
It's under
70,000?
vehicles, and it should be a pickup truck.
It's under
Oh, yeah.
GMC box pickup.
95?
Yes.
Okay.
Where are you in CIP?
I'm at 70435 for the command post.
And when it says pickup, that includes the frame and chassis, but also the box that will go on back as well.
Okay.
And all the equipment.
Is this the one that you have to have a cruiser follow them because
Yes.
something's not working in the back?
I
By the
remember
way, I
that.
saw that the other day.
Comes around there. Like, wow, there it is.
That's all you have in CIP, right, Chief?
Yes, the
Scott?
hindsight's gone.
That's all he's got, right?
Yeah.
And then we have the IMC that'll be going as a special order.
Okay.
And the 70,000 is the 2 cruisers?
Yes.
Okay, Carl, you've got a loader, what's a PD hindsight? I'm sorry, that was police department, sorry.
That's gone.
Yeah. That's, oh, I see, okay. Sorry, I was misreading it. You have a tractor truck.
Yeah. Yeah, just to, I guess, just because I understand it's been raised as an issue. If I'm not mistaken, we asked for 6 vehicles this year. The selectmen approved 1 of them. Last year, we replaced a garbage truck. It was 2 years trying. 2 years ago, we didn't replace any vehicles.
Didn't you repair that truck? Place the bed on it?
The 10-wheeler, 2 or 3 years ago, we did replace a bed,
Okay.
but we did not replace a vehicle. With a fleet the size of ours, I heard somebody say fiscal cliff. I've adopted that. That's where we're headed. We're headed right back to where this town was in 1992, where we're going to have several vehicles not pass inspection. We're going to have a fleet sideline, and then we're going to be facing a major budget catastrophe. What the selectmen approved was, of all the trucks, was what I'd call probably the cheapest one. It was the low-hanging fruit. It is a replacement for the long-haul tractor. That is probably the moneymaker of the whole department, so I'm very supportive of keeping that thing running good.
We've only got one?
We have 2 trucks. We have a frontline truck that I don't even remember the exact numbers, but it probably has 300,000 miles on it. And when we got into our own hauling, we bought a used truck, it's our backup truck, that has almost 800,000 miles on it. More important than the miles on those trucks, though, are what they are. For years, we've hauled our trash to the incinerator up in Bedford, Maine. That facility has been sold, so we're working with Casella now on where our trash is going to be relocated. One of the options we're looking at is the Bethlehem landfill. It's a little bit further haul, and it's hauling it uphill. Our backup truck is only a 340 horsepower, 10-speed tractor. The frontline truck we have is an 18-speed, 420 horsepower tractor. We don't think we can pull our loaded trailer, at least not in a reasonable amount of time, up to Bethlehem if we end up going to Bethlehem. Aside from the fact that the truck's got 800,000 miles on it, and how much longer can we keep it going cost effectively? So if we replace the tractor that we have now would become the backup. Backup is a misnomer. The truck does haul when we're in an overflow mode. There are times when we have to take one of the transfer station staff and have him run a load. We don't have the luxury of just our one driver arranging everything all the time. Sometimes we have to put someone else in the backup truck to keep us ahead.
So we'd likely keep it.
No, 2 is fine, but if we add Bethlehem, if we go to Bethlehem, we haul a load of trash almost every day. Bethlehem is over an hour longer round trip than going up to Biddeford. So we got 4 hours a week that we're adding to the burden that we have to somehow make up time. And the only way we can make up time is if we occasionally take one of the transfer station guys and stick them in the other truck and relieve some of the pressure.
Okay.
So we haven't decided anything yet, nothing's final, but it's likely that that's going to be in the mix. The other truck that we really would, if the department would have been able to pick our priorities, it would have been the 10-wheeler. The selectmen didn't fund the 10-wheeler. However, as Guy mentioned a few years ago,
This is line 70510, right, 185,000?
Yeah. We had tried to replace that truck. It's a 1999 Sterling 10-wheeler. It was not supported a couple of years ago, so we did replace the body. The body had literally failed, kind of broken in half. So we did a new body, a stainless steel body on an old truck.
Excuse me. Joe, are you referring to the line for the...
The 10-wheeler,
Yeah,
the
for the
S
10-wheeler.
truck.
Oh, yeah.
That was not funded by the
That was
Board of
zeroed out
Selectmen.
by the
Yeah.
Board of Selectmen, right?
Yeah.
Other than the road plan, do you have anything else? And this tractor?
Not really. I mean, the board made their cuts. We have,
Okay.
I think, 2 items that they've decided to fund with extra, the surplus money.
And
Were they in here initially?
Yes.
Which ones were those?
There was the failed culvert under the rail bed behind the county.
Okay, oh, they're not vehicles. They're
No.
2 other items.
Yes, they were. I'll tell you in a second.
There's a
well,
dump truck.
they're not part of CIP anymore, so.
They were, but if you want to know, I mean, that's one of my points, is that, one of the concerns that I have is that if this committee decides that we're not going to fund the tractor trailer, then please do me a favor and fund something else, because, I mean, if you look at, the CIP matrix, there's just a ton of things that we keep on bumping out, yet we are going to be in a position, we're going to have to do like a massive lease purchase, rather than doing it incrementally. So that would be my only caveat, is that if you think that you can get more life out of this trailer, then please put something in its stead, because if you look at the numbers of where we're at, it's not pleasant.
Yeah, Dick, you had a question?
Yeah, Carl, would you take that stuff to up north, is that a landfill?
In Bethlehem.
Yeah. Now, how come, okay, what's the reason for not taking it to like Boston?
Because we're not lucky enough to be one of the co-op communities. Boston was limited to the Concord Co-op. So you have to be a co-op community, and back in the 80s, when the co-op was formed, we opted out, we decided not to do that.
So there's no chance of ever getting into it?
Well, there's a chance, but they're under contract, their contract expires in 2014. I've been talking to them. They're currently renegotiating with Wheelabrator, and quite frankly, the co-op is putting out bids to decide whether they're gonna keep going to Boston.
So there's no other one like that around, close by Massachusetts?
Waste energy
There's one in-
facilities.
There's one in Connecticut,
Right.
that's where, around Hartford.
And other states, interstate commerce, Massachusetts won't accept our waste. We can't bring it down there.
Joe, you had a comment or a question?
Oh, I just wanted to,
I'm, too.
I think Carl didn't quite get a chance to complete his point. We're talking about that $185,000 10-wheeler that didn't get funded, and you were gonna, I think, make the point that the frame is rusting so badly that you fear it might not pass inspection, right?
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I am not sure yet, because I haven't caught up to the mechanic, but I did ask him, and I'd be happy to forward this to everybody, because we cleaned the truck up today, and we really took some good pictures of it. The frame split in 4 or 5 places, actual cracks, and the laminated frame beams are separating in several spots. Talking to Mark this morning, there's a chance this truck is now parked, because when he really got looking at it, if it's not safe to drive, we're not gonna drive it, so.
Is that one of the 10-wheelers?
Yeah.
The first one?
What year is that?
It's a 99 Sterling.
I sort of got my CIP hat on, and for Public Works, the CIP, Public Works asked CIP for round numbers, $1 million, and CIP approved about 750 of that. But that $185,000 trailer was approved by the CIP. So I was just wondering, I haven't reconciled one list with the other list. In other words, things where.
I have it right here if you want.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen that.
Here's what was asked for vehicles in DPW. The long-haul tractor replacement, which has gotten a lot of discussion. A 1997 Cat loader at $205,000, which is on yours, which was, the Board of Selectmen chose not to put to fund.
I guess I don't need the specifics. I was just saying, a lot of people spend a lot of time on the CIP, moving and shifting these stuff around, talking, going there. And I'm just wondering in general, I mean, what is the process? The CIP met for a long time, it went to planning, then it went to.
Ivan, I prefer to restrict our discussions to
Okay.
the items that are actually on the CIP budget for us. When we get into motion making, we can probably discuss that if you're looking to put something back in that they removed, but.
I think we're gonna go to the schools next on Thursday. Carl just approached me about this prior to this meeting, about showing me the photos.
Okay.
Carl, if this thing is sidelined, I suspect Carl's gonna come back to our board on Monday night to talk about this, and then we're gonna have to have some discussions. That vehicle that we're talking about, that's a workhorse for us. I mean, this is the one that drives the longest plow routes, has, on it, and it's a big problem if it's sidelined. So we may be coming back with a different scenario entirely to try to react to it. So, and I hope that everybody, just as the school has to react with special education students coming in and out of the district. I mean, these are the type of things, we got scale failure, you've got this whole thing with the slope, the culvert going on. I mean, we didn't know about this, a year or two ago. So just like things go, they crap out at your own house, these happen at a much bigger scale, and we gotta, kind of react to it.
Yeah, first of all, I think that this is an important item, and where's the priorities? There must be $185,000 in this whole town budget to take care of this vehicle, and if it's got cracks in the frame, them frames are built, but they aren't built to take salt. And somebody's gotta step up to the plate and say, where's the priorities? If we gotta come up with $185,000, you can't tell me in a $20 million budget that you can't find it.
Well, then we get to making motions on CIP, we can look at that. Maybe we want to increase it. Brian?
I guess my thing is, and it's exactly what you guys are all saying, is, like, the whole tractor thing, I guess that's partially my problem, is there's 100 other things that we could put the money towards, like we were talking about this time, versus, which I just feel like, what do you really need? What do you really need? I mean, to me, the tractor, I don't see it. I mean, you can tell me that that's the way it is, but I don't believe that's needed. I feel like something like the dump truck now. The dump truck, 185. Where'd we come up with that number? So aren't we taking that dump body off?
Yeah, several years ago, we were asking for 240,000, so for a 10-wheel dump with spreader package, plows, wings, everything, it's about a $240,000 unit. The 185 is truck, chassis, plow, wing, and the labor to move the body from the old setup.
But correct me if I'm wrong, that body does have a sander in it.
It's built in, yes.
So that,
Yeah.
so,
We spent 50,000 on the stainless steel unibody, and that'll transfer to the new chassis.
so now none of the plows, nothing else gets transferred, we just get rid of all that.
Those plows were bought with the truck, and they're just as beat as the truck. By the time you get rid of the truck, the push frames and the plows are pretty much shot.
Carl, at 185,000, what kind of truck are you looking at?
It's a 10-wheel, it's actually very similar to the tractor trailer. I mean, matter of fact, Mark just gave me the quote for the 10-wheel, just the truck and chassis part is $116,000. Then you add the plows, the wings, the hydraulics, and all the things you need to control.
And I guess that's my point is, the cabin chassis is usually, like you're saying, 116 to 118, you throw out the body that we already have on it, that number just seems pretty excessive, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, it is, it's just what I
That-
think.
That's a 10-wheel?
Yeah.
So any thought given to, it's just a straight chassis with, you could buy probably two of them for that type of price.
For what?
Well, for that type of money, you could buy a dump truck, but not with tandem axle, but just a straight axle on the back. You could buy a couple of them like they used to have, and you still got some.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Joe had his list out there, that we had a 6-wheeler that we were asking for, was, I think they're about 163,000, 165,000, thereabouts. So a 6-wheeler with the plow package and the wings and the body should be somewhere around the 160s or so.
I could have sworn we just got one, and we just got a truck a year or two ago, didn't we?
3 years ago.
Three?
the last dump truck.
Was it like 150K?
Yeah, well, 100, yeah, probably three
I
or
thought
4
so,
years ago.
I mean,
Because I think now they're about 160 something. Just the new emissions adds $10,000 to a truck.
Okay, so when we get to CIP, we may ask you to come back, because we'll be making motions, and I'm getting the feeling that maybe the committee might want to be looking at maybe putting this back. So I'll let you know ahead of time, or Peter will.
Well, and what I'll do, I'll forward on, I just got the reports. I haven't even printed it myself yet, it's on my
Okay.
tablet. I'll forward that on to you folks, so you can see it.
Okay.
It's frightening. And as Scott said, I'm sure I'll be in visiting with the board, because
Yeah.
if we just sideline one of our main trucks, we've got a big problem.
Okay. Ivan?
Just one more question. These numbers, the CIP looks at these numbers out over 5 years, so these numbers continue for the next 5 years, I mean. But in anticipation of some of these problems, the fire department is going to, I think it's looking at $1 million anticipated capital reserve fund for fire equipment. Why doesn't the DPW do that too? Budget for...
We have actually recommended it. That is a policy policy decision, so it'd be you folks, Board of Selectmen deciding, is that something that fits?
We talked about it, I'm not sure if you were at one of the meetings, we talked about the Board of Selectmen level, I think we talked about it here. I think we would like to do it, but it's just, I mean, if I had that whiteboard, I'd point to that whiteboard again. I mean,
Yeah.
you could-
I like that whiteboard.
I mean, you can only do what you can do.
Yeah.
We can't even get the fire department capital reserve funded, right? It didn't get funded last year, I don't think.
Well, it's coming up in 2014, $500,000. The first time, it'll come up in 2014 for the capital reserve fund for fire.
I thought it was on the budget, isn't it gonna be a special warrant article
It is,
possibly
it
this
is,
year?
it is proposed,
At 250?
yes, but we've talked about a lower amount at the Board of Selectmen level.
Okay.
The guy who was picking up on is we've got our, in 2014, we're slated to replace an engine at about $500,000, $500,000, plus the Board of Selectmen deferred the forestry truck, so that's still looming at about $25,000.
Okay. Did you say that you guys have done, or this committee has done Parks and Rec?
According to the minutes we did, we didn't talk about, we didn't do
That
very
that was
much.
my understanding.
But according to the minutes, we did.
Because there were some
Thanks,
They were
Carl.
there.
There were things that were in there that Rick took out because they're being funded through the Parks and Rec Capital Reserve Fund.
And it was right before we talked about the police department.
That was during a presentation, but I don't know that we made,
No, we did.
was anything,
It was on November 15th.
Yes,
We did live, we did the town, and I can see it says deliberations. We looked at town, we looked at Parks and Rec.
The library.
We looked at library, and we looked at police, and this is where we did a motion on the police, we have motions in
oh, I
here.
see that.
Yeah, so we didn't make any changes to Parks and Rec.
That's right. I was at that
It's an
meeting.
overall increase of 1.09.
Yep, no, you're right.
We were just getting started those few days.
Have we done library?
Yeah, we
Yes,
did it
we
right
did, yep,
before, and we
yep.
didn't make any changes there.
And sewer is,
We're done.
yeah. Well, I mean, we're done for tonight.
Well, wait a second, one quick question, Chief O'Brien. What happened with the forestry truck? We're still waiting on a grant, right? Or did we not get
The
it?
grant's still pending, we haven't heard back from the grant yet. But, you know, it's a very competitive grant process. You know, if we do get awarded it, we'll be very fortunate. But we still have to plan ahead as if we didn't get awarded.
Okay.
And that's the reason why we're still in budget.
Okay, so the selectmen have already pushed that back out of this CIP.
They deferred
And
that out.
so we're still waiting on the fire station, correct, selectmen? Or you guys already?
We've already decided not to put forward on the fire station.
Okay,
That's done.
so you don't have anything else in the CIP?
The only thing that's pending is the
Capital
cap
reserve.
reserve,
Okay.
figure, whatever that would
The
be.
amount? Okay.
Yeah.
Chief?
Has that forestry truck down got a skid tank on it?
There's a skid unit on it. Again, that pump is an old Briggs and Stratton pump. Starting to show its age. It's failed a couple times on recent brush fires, but that's the reason why we need to look at that one.
How old is that skid tank? Do you have any idea?
Well before my time, I believe it was,
Chief Fletcher bought that.
No,
no.
no.
I think it was,
Well, it was before his time.
I tried to.
it was a chief, it might have been a chief and all, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
But that's in a position where you could actually put that in one of the pickups if you had to.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we're looking down the road is an option to put that on one of the pickup trucks.
For the forest.
Yeah, for a forestry season, exactly.
Can you give us a general year for those of us who don't date things by fire chiefs?
The what?
Can you give us like a general year?
I would say 10 years, 10 years.
Okay.
Anyway, what it is the skid unit, what we call a skid unit, is it's a plastic body tank and with a pump, a small water pump on the back.
Okay.
And so it holds about 200 gallons of water, and you can throw it in the back of a truck and get it to the woods.
Okay.
Okay. Well, looks like we've got everything done except for CIP. Keep in mind, between now and the time we finalize the budget, we can always revisit any department, any line, anytime we want. Okay, so if something, you got questions, or you want to review something, and you want to come back, look at a line, we'll do that in any of the subsequent meetings.
Can we,
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, does anybody?
well, can we get like I'd kinda like to get an update, like on the town side. I mean, I haven't been keeping track of, like, where are we at? What's the amount?
I
What are we
will, I'll
looking
forward
at?
you that
And
tomorrow.
possibly, at some point, take some kind of a straw poll and see where we are as a group. If people are thinking they're gonna, like I said before, I don't wanna end up on the last night and we end up with a 8-7 split and we never, or I mean, 8-7 split, and we never talked about how far apart we are. So,
Well, judging, just my opinion, judging by the way the voting on the motions for adjustments has gone, I don't think we're very far apart.
well, but when you get the final number, we might be.
Well, what I'm gonna do is add to the reductions we made previously, I'm gonna add everything we did tonight. And I can either send you the bottom line number, or I can send you the actual town spreadsheet where you can see which lines were adjusted and see what the bottom is. It'll take me a day to put that together tomorrow, but I can do that if anybody wants them.
I'd like to see that.
Okay, I'll send it to everybody then, so we can see exactly what lines we made motions on, who made them. Oh, wait, we don't need that,
I
that'll
don't
be in the
think we
minutes.
have to make 'em.
But how much and what the bottom line is, and what changed total. Because I haven't got a formula here to total that up. I'm doing it
Okay.
on a separate sheet. But,
Okay,
yeah, I'll do that tomorrow.
okay,
All
that's
right.
good.
Anybody else want to bring anything up before we go, Brian?
I just want to say that my general feeling of these budgets seem pretty tight as it is. I mean,
I totally
we're
agree.
doing a pretty good job of, I mean, we're really drawing blood from a stone in some of these cases.
If-
Go ahead, Chief.
If you take some of the cuts we've done, you're probably talking $50,000,
Yeah, I would guess.
okay?
It's just a
And
guess,
so
but
here's a truck that's gonna cost $185,000, you're only gonna need $135,000, and such a priorities.
tonight we have cut 27,937 total. Oh, no, more than that, I'm
Wait a
sorry.
minute.
That's without, sorry. That's without the police officers, the patrolman position, because I don't know what
How
that
much-
total is.
How much did you say?
I said 27,900 without the police.
Yeah, so
So
It's probably
add
closer to
69.
100,000.
Yeah, it's probably gonna
And
be
the
close.
janitor's probably another 30.
No, that was an extra hour.
Four hours for the janitor.
Well, yeah, but that's included with.
Yeah, it's in the
cut that you made
69,000,
in police, so.
plus the benefits, so
So you'll probably come up with 30.
we may have that 10-wheeler
Benefits-
halfway funded.
benefits and all that.
No?
And the benefits for the patrolman?
Correct, wage and benefits, 26,700.
All right, so that, already that's like 95,000 just for those two positions, and then the other cut, so you're looking at over 100,000. I
Well-
still think it'd be worth it, because you know what? The voters probably haven't been watching these meetings, and they may not agree, so.
Well, we'll roll up our sleeves and slug it out and go over CIP.
It's like, it's the only way you're gonna catch up.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be facing the same thing forever. And you probably will anyways.
Well, if nobody's got anything else, first of all, thanks, everybody. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I'll give the second to Liz. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Liz.
Did
Liz
you
and
already
Dick.
take me to task?
That's a
Did you
new,
already take me to task about going by that name?
Liz and Dick, that's a TV show.
Yeah, with Lindsay Lohan.
There you go. We could play Lindsay Lohan.
Do you prefer to go by Elizabeth? I'm not even calling you Liz because
don't
Peter
care.
does.
I know, I don't care. I really don't care if people call me Liz.
Okay.
It's been, they've called me different
That
things.
was with Peter. Peter started that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
And I figured she hasn't barked at him, so she must be okay with
Just
it.
let it
Still
go.
call me Beth. Somebody called me Beth, I'm not gonna answer.
Okay.